Okay, will you pass out one of these to everybody?
Lower. Feel like plastics.
I need one. How many do you have left? How many do you have left?
I have just 4. Okay.
You just have 4?
Yeah.
Let me see what you have. We can do it 2 ways. That's 50. And some are 35. So did you get one that says 35 or 50?
35.
Wait,
I got 35 and I got
50.
Okay, we're going to do 50 because 50 is on the screen and 35 is in the book. They're basically going to say the same story.
so
So-
we're using this.
Use the one that says 50-pound bag.
Okay. I don't want it. I don't need it.
Thinking is this one?
You need 2?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have 2 sheets. They're going to say the same thing, and this is going to go back to a fact that we're going to talk about yield. We talked about prime rib, and when you get prime rib, it may weigh 12 pounds, okay, but when you've got a finished cooked product, it may weigh only 8 pounds. We do the same thing when we're trying to figure out yield in draft beer, sodas, and popcorn, because there's so much volume and so much production involved. So up on the screen, I have a chart, and you should have the same piece of paper, but basically it talks about popcorn expansion ratio. What that means is when you take a kernel of corn and you pop it, it explodes and gets bigger. And guess what? Every kernel of corn pops at a different rate. And popcorn growers will grow popcorn to a specific size. Okay? So what we're really saying here is that if you popped 1 cup of kernels, okay, you should get this many cups of finished product. So it's a popcorn ratio. 1 cup of corn produces this many cups. And why is that important? Here's why it's important. Somebody will come into your office and they'll say, I can sell you popcorn at $8 a bag. 50 pounds. If we took 50 pounds divided by 8, we'd figure out that it's what? Somewhere around 16, 18 cents a pound? Something like that. Is that good or bad?
Depends.
Depends on.
Your standards or whatever.
Why don't we take a couple of bids? The next popcorn guy comes in and says, I can sell you popcorn at $9 a bag, 50 pounds. Is that good or bad? Who are you going to pick? Naturally, you pick 8 because it's less. But here's what happens. You have to be careful. The first guy that comes in is going to sell you popcorn. It has a 40 ratio, expansion rate. So we're going to get, for 1 cup of popcorn, we're going to get 40 cups of finished product. Okay? And we're going to sell 85-ounce tubs. So if we go 40 over here to the 85-ounce tub, we're going to get, out of every 50-pound bag, 341 portions. Now, just for simple sakes, let's do it on $6 a bucket. Okay? So what is 341 times 6?
$2,046.
$2,046. So one 50-pound bag will produce $2,046 in revenue. Is that good?
Maybe.
I'd say.
Yeah.
Okay, but the guy that has the $9 bag of popcorn, his expansion ratio is 46. So we're going to go 46 over here, and it's 391. What's 391 times 6.
2,346.
2,346. What did you take away from that? Which one's going to make you the most money? The $9 bag or the $8 bag?
$9.
By how much?
$300.
$300. So here's my question. You got $8 here, $9 here. $9 over here is going to bring you $300 more than this $8 bag. Would you trade $1 for $300? Pardon me? You wouldn't?
Do you trade it?
Yeah. Somebody walks up to you and says, look, if you give me $1, I'll give you $300.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I thought you
exactly
meant
what's
I
happened
had
here.
$300.
See, just because it's $8 a bag doesn't mean it's the best value. That makes sense? You have to think in terms of how am I going to take that product and produce revenue with it. In this particular case, popcorn, we have a thing called popcorn expansion ratio. Now,
can shut it.
here's,
Yeah, there's no one coming in.
yeah, nobody wants to come in here.
Yeah,
Not after they see how hard this class is. Okay, so the next question you would have to ask yourself, this is what the salesman's going to say. My $9, okay, is going to produce $300 more per bag. So let me charge you an extra $1. I'm going to make you $300 on that bag. But guess what? How many bags will it take before you get a free bag up here? If it's $1 a bag and this is $8 a bag, after 8 bags, you're going to get $2,000 free. That make sense? You follow me? Kevin, you look a little confused.
Kind of. I don't really understand what you just said.
Okay. We said a lot today.
Yeah. I don't get It's Good Friday, so they're in church.
We've got $8 a bag,
Yes.
okay, and we got $9 a bag. The difference is $1. Right? This is going to produce how many? 341?
Yes.
341 units. Basically 2,000, I think you said $46, something like that?
Yes.
Okay. This over here is going to produce 391
Yes.
and what, 2,300 and what?
46.
46?
Mhm.
So this right here is going to make me $300 more.
Mhm.
So we said that would be really good, right? But at some point, there's a diminishing return. Because after 8 bags, just do this. 8 times 8, 64. $64. I have now saved, okay, $8, which gives me a free bag. So now I get another free bag. So I get a free 341 units. 341 units produces $2,046. That make sense?
Kind of.
In other words, I'm using the difference to give myself a free bag that's going to produce another 341 that I don't have to pay for versus this.
Oh, okay.
See what I'm saying? So let's do 8 bags of this, and what does that cost? $72?
Yeah.
So if I add another $8 to this, I'd be at 72, it'd be equal, but guess what? I don't have to pay for that. So I get 341 free. Now what do you have to do? Here's what I would do. I would say, okay, after 8 bags, I'm making $300 per bag. I would say 300 times 8 equals $2,400.
Mhm.
Right? Now what's the difference? Even with the savings, and getting a free bag of popcorn, I'm still $400 ahead. Does that make sense? So I would go with the $9. Now, if this turned into, say, $10, all right, all of a sudden this number here gets much shorter. So let's say, in other words, I'm making $2 a bag, so I'm going to get there in half the time. So I'm going to get there in 4. So after 4, I get a free 20 this, and I would multiply this times 4, and it's only 1,200.
Then it's not.
Yeah. Now I'm looking at 2,000 versus 1,200, and so paying $10 really isn't better, even though the expansion rate's higher. That makes sense? What you just got right there is very analytical, very executive kind of thinking. I can tell you that less than 1% of the population in this industry does this.
Professor, well, including the nest test.
Pardon me?
I just want to know if that will be including the nest test.
Will there be something like this on the test? Maybe.
But I don't want that.
Okay. Here's what you need to understand. Popcorn expansion ratio. Okay? Some popcorns can pop at 38. And if we did 38, we'd only get 324 portions per bag of popcorn. Okay? If I'm at 46, I'm going to get 391. If I multiply this number times the selling price per popcorn,
I mean, so the 36, 37 is
these are the portion sizes. So
It's
you would
the
have like a
percent.
bucket. Pardon me?
is the percent, the
It's not the
36.
percentage, it's the amount of cups.
So you know, if you go to Stadium and you get a box of popcorn, it might be 46 ounces. And if you get a tub, it might be 130 ounces. That's what this is saying. So you have, see the ounces? This is the like a soda cup, you get a 12-ounce can, you can get a full liter, you can get a 32-ounce cup. These are the different sizes. And it goes up in volume. So let's look at 40 right here. You get 170 portions. Okay? Because it's almost twice as much as 85. Actually, it is. Okay, so you get 170 portions, and let's say you charge $8 a portion. What's that number, Kevin? 8 times 170.
Uh, 1,360.
1,360. So this bag of popcorn is going to produce $1,360 in revenue. But if I have a higher expansion rate, in other words, you know when it pops, sometimes you get little pieces and sometimes you get big ones. The bigger it is, the more it fills up the cup. So you actually have less popcorn in the tub. So if we could take it in reverse and take all those kernels that popped out, take them back to their original size, and look at it in the bucket, this one right here would have a lot of kernels in there. This one down there would have virtually half as many. So we're using half as much corn to make more money. Does that make sense?
So the popcorn expansion ratio is the percent of the cost?
No,
There's no percent.
there's no percent.
This isn't related to what we were just learning.
No,
I mean,
you're
it
gonna
is,
learn-
it is related, but I mean, like,
This is about yields.
this is different.
So let's say this. Let's just say that, I want to try to change my train of thought. I give you a pound of tea, okay? I'm going to make tea bags now. And I can put 1 ounce or 2 ounce tea bags. 1 ounce will give me twice as much bags as the 2 ounce. That's kind of what we're talking about here. What happens is they grow corn, okay? And all the corn looks the same when it's raw. But when it pops, there's a different amount of fiber and water inside the corn itself. So it blows up bigger. The bigger the corn, the more space it takes up in the vessel. Therefore, you don't have to use as much popcorn to fill the vessels. So in other words, you can get, like down here, what did we use, 46? 391 portions using popcorn at this expansion versus popcorn at this expansion. Okay? Now why that's important is because I look at this bag of corn, I paid $8 for it, I'm gonna make $2,000, $2,046 for an $8 investment. Down here, I'm gonna pay $9, which is a little more, but I'm going to make $300 more in cash. That make sense? So if I pay $1 more, whoops, that's my eraser.
It's $2.
No, well, that's, we were doing something else. You see, this is an 85-ounce popcorn. That's the portion size. This popcorn is 40. This is 46. Popcorn expansion. So I'm going to take and pop this popcorn up. The whole bag will give me 341 portions. I think we said times $6 equals $2,046 profit. This is what I made, gross sales. Not profit, gross sales. This one over here, even though I pay $1 more, it makes 50 more portions. And 50 times $6 is $300 more. So if I pay $1, okay, plus $1, it gives me $300 in sales. And that's when I said, if you give me $1, I'll give you $300. Would you work on that deal? Absolutely. You give, you know, if I give you $2 if you give me $1, would you do that? Yeah, you would. If I gave you $2, would you give me $1 back? You get to keep $1. So the point is, you have to be sure that you can weigh the value. And then there's a diminishing return. So if this went to $10, it's $2 a bag more. And after 4 bags, I can buy another bag. Make sense? And that means I'm going to get another $2,000 for free.
How do you know you get a free bag?
You don't get a free bag.
Okay.
The difference between 10 and 8 is $2, right? How much does it take to buy another bag of $8 corn? $8. If I'm getting back $2, at some point after 4 bags, based on whatever this expense is.
It's hypothetical speaking. It's not an actual free bag.
Right, right. In other words, that's exactly right.
Technically it is.
Well, math-wise, it is. Only math-wise. In other words, I'm going to get $8 savings, which I would transfer into a new bag of popcorn. That makes sense? I'm saving $8 for every 4.
Gotcha.
And at some point at $10, that $1,200 that I extra money generated after 4 bags does not equate to how much money I can make on 1 bag of these. That makes sense? But at $9, this was still $2,400 because it was 8 times 300, so it's 24, and this is still 2,000. So what I'm trying to prove here is that you have to look at the margin in between. Because even though that this is really high and looks good, and that looks good on 1 bag, at some point you start to see the cost. It would actually be easier if I did this on an annual basis. And said we're going to buy 100,000 bags at $8 and 100,000 bags at $9. And 100,000 bags is going to produce this much money, and 100,000 bags on the 9 is going to produce this much money. And then you can go back and say, was it good or bad? It might be easier if I do it on a bigger scale.
How do you get the 60,400?
Right here, that's $64.
Oh, 64.
That's 8 bags. I'm gonna buy 8 bags of this, so it's 8 times $8 is 64. I'm gonna buy 8 of these, that's $72. Okay, what's the difference between the two of these?
There's about $8.
$8. Guess what? There's your $8.
Oh,
Hence, you get, I called it free, but you can buy another bag of popcorn. So now you're at 72, which is equal, okay? But you get an extra $2,000 in revenue because you're popping up 9 bags, not 8.
so that means if you buy 8 bags, you will maybe have 1 bag free.
No. If you want to equate the cost the same, this is 64, right? This is 72. So if I want to get to $72, I get to buy another bag. Okay? So this is now 9 bags versus 8 bags. So what I'm saying is, I said free, it's not free. That was bad vernacular, I'm sorry. But in reality, we get a whole nother 341 popcorn portions at the same price. So now we're 72, okay? But I get another 341, which equates to an extra $2,046. But then if I'm making an extra 300, I take the 300 times the 8 bags. This is 4 right there.
Will be
That's
2.
2,400, right?
Yeah.
So which one is better? 2,046 or 2,400?
24.
So what I'm saying is, even though I pay $1 more, even after you look at the savings of $8, which kind of equates to another bag of popcorn, you're still ahead by $400. If we change this to 10, this number we change to 2, there would only be 4, so 4 times 300 would be 1,200. 1,200 is a whole lot less than this. So somewhere between $8 and $10, there's a margin. At $9, we're still good. If we go to 10, we need to go back over here, even though the ratio, popcorn expansion ratio is not as high.
So 9 is the greatest deal.
But, yeah, right now, $9 is where you want to be. Because of the popcorn expansion is 46. Now, if this popcorn expansion dropped to 44, it'd be a whole different story. We'd have to redo the equation. Because we come over here, and it'd be 374 versus 341, so that's, what, 33 times 6, so it's not 300 anymore. I did more on popcorn expansion today than I've done in any class ever. But it's good. Okay, what time is it?
Nice.
It's right at 12. All right, so I'm going to tell you this.
You've got 2 minutes.
No, I can't do this. In your books, somebody hand me their book. Thank you. On page 192, okay, you're going to see a similar chart. That's for 50-pound bags. 50-pound bags are antiquated. Everything comes in 35-pound bags now, so the book is updated. But also in here,
You said 192?
that's 192 in my book. It might be something else in your book.
How am I supposed to know?
Let me look and see.
Not 192.
It's 191.
Oh, sorry.
191. Okay. But there are going to be some questions on soda yields and beer yields on the exam. And the actual way to handle that is in the book. Let me see where it's at. It's either 227 or 226. And then 228. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys the exam, but I know there are at least 2 questions that relate to this. So you're not going to fill these out next week because we didn't get to it. Fair enough? But I do want you to study it because it's going to be on the next exam. I want you to understand. What this is about converting, okay, raw product into usable product. And how do you evaluate that? Can you tell if somebody's stealing from you? So if you were working at a stadium and you had a beer stand and you had the Knights of Columbus working the draft beer stand, okay? And you walk up and you buy your first cup of beer, right? And it's $10. And your friend from the Knights of Columbus walks off, he drinks his beer and he comes back. And he's a good friend, right? And so you just fill up his cup at no charge. All right, and he puts $5 in your tip jar. And he drinks his beer. Is a cup missing? No. Did you ring anything up? So how would you be over or short?
When you run out of beer in the case.
So what happens is, this is a way to evaluate, am I getting the highest yield? More importantly, there are a lot of times when you have draft beer facilities where the temperature's not right and it foams a lot. Have you ever gone into a bar where they pull the tap and the guy holds the thing upside down and it runs down? That's all money going down the drain. And you can't be in all spaces at all times. Maybe in a restaurant, you can be behind the bar. But in stadiums with 50, 60, 70 different locations, you can't be in all places. So you have to have a way to go back and evaluate, is this a good yield or a bad yield? Same thing with sodas. You don't know if your friends are giving away free refills, if you're charging, not charging, you spilling it. So that's what that exercise was supposed to be about. We got started a little late today, and I didn't quite get to it.
So what pages should we refer to while we're studying for the next week's exam?
Pages,
Is that page 191?
no. You're going to go to chapter 9.
Chapter 9.
It's right after training.
Orientation.
It's either 215 or 216.
215. Okay, so chapter 9. Is it just all this stuff? Just all of chapter 9?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I tell you this, I think I've been right so far. When I say trust me, just practice, study, okay?
It's hard to practice though when we don't have things to practice.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying.
good point.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. You bring up an excellent point. It's the difference between this class and then the certification class, because everything in the certification class is done in one day. We would have done all of this, and then I'd hand you the exam.
Right, but I personally feel like I could really do really well in this class if I had worksheets that like put everything on. I mean, because your notes are great, but it's really hard to keep up during the math when we're having to write everything down.
So
you know?
what I'm going to do, to your point,
Yeah.
I don't have any practice sheets with me right now. I'm going to get with Ashik. We'll put this online,
Okay.
and you can watch the class all over again. And then if that doesn't work,
I'm trying to tell you though, like from
You
a
want
student's-
worksheets.
But from a student standpoint,
We
for
need-
the
we need a
future
hard
in
copy.
this class.
yes, I've heard you.
It would be a lot more beneficial for us if you would provide worksheets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And I don't have like a full 3 hours to sit there and watch this full class again.
okay.
I mean, I'll do that. I get what
I
you're
tell you what,
saying,
I will
but-
put